Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I am your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully, here to bring you art articles and articulation straight from Articulation Station. So be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. If you like it, put a ring on it. A ring on it. Sharing is caring. All that other good stuff, as I always say these days. Speaking of this day, I recorded a show while on my lunch break a little while ago. Few hours ago, and it was about Jamal Bowman, the congressman who pulled the fire alarm thinking it was a door handle or some such nonsense. Yeah, so check out that video if you haven't already done so. As for this show, I'm going to be talking about Joe Biden, as though I haven't already done that enough. I don't know why I'm talking like this, I just feel like it. I definitely feel like it. So I'm going to talk like this for the rest of my show. Thank you very much. No, I'm not. I joke, I kid. Okay. Joe Biden and his corruption. That is the topic which I will be tackling. I have some tabs pulled up in front of me, and I'll share them with you, and then we can move on with our lives for at least a little while. Other things have been in the news, for example, Donald Trump's alleged corruption case out of New York has been in the spotlight, in the limelight, or in the orange light in Donald Trump's case. As of today, Trump snapped and attacked a judge, not physically, but verbally, I guess you could say. I might talk about that at some point, but yeah, haven't talked about Biden in the last week or so. I had a lot of technical difficulties, wasn't able to talk about many things. I still have to restart my computer pretty much every time I want to record. At least for now. I've been working on it though, so hopefully I can get those technical difficulties cleared up before too long, and I can be back on the warpath, strong. But yeah, 2 shows in one day. Maybe I am already on the warpath. We'll see. Okay, here's something that was released over the weekend. If you're interested in what Joe Biden has to say. Interview from ProPublica with President Biden. I'm not going to play any of this. I haven't even watched it or listened to it yet. I'm a little bit behind the ball on this. But yeah, I see that there is a section, a chapter on impeachment. It is a very short chapter, and I see it right here from the 3-minute 57-second or so mark. Make that 3-minute and 54-minute mark, I believe. All the way to just after 5 minutes. So, just over a minute of talking time. Time talking about the impeachment. I wonder what he had to say. I'll figure that out for myself a little while later. But that's what I want to speak on. The impeachment. No, not the impeachment. The impeachment inquiry. Something a lot of congressmen and women just couldn't seem to figure out. I mean, the Republicans in their first hearing, numero uno hearing, they would say, this is an impeachment inquiry, not an actual impeachment, so we don't have to claim that we have proven guilt of Joe Biden at this point. And then the Democrats, who only know predeterminations of guilt against Donald Trump, they'll say, explain the difference to us again? You don't have any proof that Joe Biden acted corruptly, or at least in a criminal way. So therefore, this is all for nothing. And it's all one big clown show. You know, the Republicans called in their witnesses, and their own witnesses essentially said what I just said, that there isn't any proof as of yet that Joe Biden acted criminally, even if corruptly. So yeah, Democrats are left saying, oh, what's a lie? What's a lie? Joe Biden lied about this. He lied about that. Who cares? Who really even cares? Who even really cares? I mean, if your whole premise is that Joe Biden is an honest man, he turns out to not be an honest man, you kind of have your heads in the sand at this point, if you're a Democrat, in Congress at least. As for the Republicans, they're pushing it for what it's worth, and so far, not so good. I mean, I don't know that it looked all that great for them, because, again, people cannot tell the difference between an impeachment and an impeachment inquiry. When your first witnesses on your first day of hearings say, oh, nothing has been proven yet, that's what we're here for. Well, you just leave everyone who, in this case, has not predetermined guilt, saying, well, then why are we even here? This is all for nothing. But you can feel free to disagree with me on anything I may say. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know. If you know something I don't know, let me know, because I'd like to know. I'm no know-it-all. I just know enough to know I know at all. Yeah. Okay, here's one clip from Joe Biden's ProPublica. Got predetermination stuck in my head. ProPublica interview. 8-second clip of Joe Biden claiming that when he left the Senate, he was able to convince Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act. The problem with that is that Thurmond died in 2003, while Biden didn't leave the Senate until 2009. Also, the Voting Rights Act passed in 1965, before Biden was in office.
When I left the Senate, I was able to convince Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act. Strom Thurmond. When I left...
Okay. Don't want to play that again. That's 8 seconds we can never get back. So, would you say that Joe Biden is lying even there? Or is he just incompetent? Or is it a little bit of both? Maybe he has lied so much throughout his life that he just doesn't know the truth anymore. Regardless, whether it's incompetence or lies, I think, to say the least, we should at least be open-minded about looking into the corruption of Joe Biden. So, I'm going to do just that. And if you're wondering who those 3 witnesses for the Republicans were, who the Democrats seem to believe benefited them in their case, or lack thereof, well, those 3 witnesses are Mr. Bruce Dubinsky, founder of Dubinsky Consulting, Miss Eileen O'Connor, former Assistant Attorney General, United States Department of Justice Tax Division, and Professor Jonathan Turley, Shapiro Chair for Public Interest Law, George Washington University Law School, so on and so forth. Jonathan Turley always has something interesting to say, but he was the main one of those 3 who was saying, I do not see any proof of crime. Corruption is a word which is used a bit loosely, legally speaking, so I use the word crime. Although, I don't know that there must be a crime in order for there to be an impeachment. In Joe Biden's case, though, not only does there have to be a crime, there has to be like 100 of them, apparently, all proven, in order for the Democrats to be like, I guess we can look into this. Because just be real. Just be real. If Joe Biden were Donald Trump, and Donald Trump had done all the things that Joe Biden has done, and lied about all the things Joe Biden has lied about, all the Democrats would have long since impeached him, or at least attempted to, since they did that twice, as was. In fact, they impeached Donald Trump for trying to initiate or instigate or whatever yet an investigation into Joe Biden. So, long story short, Joe Biden committed a quid pro quo. Donald Trump told Ukraine to look into it, and Democrats were like, wait, what? We want to impeach Donald Trump for a quid pro quo. Oh no. So, yeah, clearly 2-tier justice/injustice system at play here. Not that impeachment is the typical justice system, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, here's someone else who had something to say. A month ago, Greg Kelly of Newsmax and I put an edit up of this, a clip up of this up on my Articulate Thinker News Clips channel. Easy to find. But the title of my video, of Greg Kelly's video, was Greg Kelly of Newsmax says audio tape is incontrovertible evidence of Joe Biden's corruption. And he said this tape was going to be released in the next couple of weeks, so a couple of weeks rolled by, and I watched and I waited, and I never saw or heard anything else about it. And I thought to myself, was he just blowing smoke? He didn't say he was going to release it, but he said someone was, and it was going to be incontrovertible evidence of Joe Biden's corruption. Now that would be proof positive of Joe Biden's corruption, aka crime. And that would have been helpful in the first impeachment inquiry hearing. But like I said, nothing was ever released or revealed, so I don't know if he was just blowing smoke or if there's something that just changed behind the scenes and therefore nothing was released, nothing was revealed that we didn't already know about. But then again, I did just see this. And this is brought to us by the Politics Brief. More references to Newsmax and Greg Kelly. So I'll go ahead and read through this article, and we can see if this is referencing the aforementioned news segment from Greg Kelly on Newsmax. Watch how Joe and Hunter Biden's scandal actually worked in practice. And this was released on September 18th, shortly after that news segment in which Greg Kelly claimed that something was going to be exposed, that Joe Biden was going to be exposed. All right, so here this article says, it has been a running mystery how Joe Biden was actually tied to Hunter Biden's illicit activities. Hunter Biden's business partner, Devin Archer, has testified that Hunter Biden had his father on the phone with his associates at least 20 times, many times on speakerphone. And this particular testimony is not from the impeachment inquiry testimony. Different congressional hearing. Vice President Joe Biden was found to have gotten 80 visits from Hunter Biden's business associates while he was in the White House. Now, compare that to how many times Joe Biden has visited the border. Oh wait, I believe he has visited the border exactly one time in the last 50 years. That's right. He has spent a lot more time with Hunter Biden's business associates. And if you don't think that's at least a little bit ironic, to say the least, if not outright suspicious, which I think it is, I think you're missing a few screws. Let me go get my drill. All right, so Joe Biden even personally met with Hunter Biden's business associates on a number of occasions, including at Cafe Milano in 2014 and 2015, when he was vice president. All right, jumping back a little further in time. Newsmax host Greg Kelly reported on an April 22, 2005 event called the Jefferson Jackson Day Dinner in South Carolina. And there's a video of it here below, and you can see the date on it from C-SPAN, April 22, 2005. So if this is the supposed audio tape, it's weak sauce. It is. But maybe this isn't it. Maybe once, Greg Kelly's prophecy didn't come to fruition, they dug for some other old clips and said, "Oh, this is actually the expose. Have some of this." I'm gonna play the clip for you so you can judge for yourself. But here the article continues. It becomes evident from the video how Joe Biden would be introduced to prospective clients, who would then hand them off to his son, Hunter Biden, of course. Here's the clip. Keep in mind that this is before Joe Biden was vice president. He was in the Senate at the time, so the rules were a little bit different for him then.
Look who's watching Joe work the room. Joe is schmoozing everybody after the speech. See what we have shaded there? That's Hunter watching every step of the way. Next video, as Joe schmoozes at the right time, Hunter moves in. All right, Hunter moves in as soon as it turns to business. Watch and listen here.
Maybe we can work something out, man.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Well, Hunter was just telling about his firm in Washington.
Yeah.
Law firm.
Yeah.
Do you have a card by any chance?
I do. I don't, but I'll give you my.
Well, let me give you my
Yeah,
card.
and then I'll give you my. I gave them all away.
Well, that was a wonderful speech.
So then Joe goes right back to schmoozing, and watch the men step away to conduct business separately. You see it? Right there. That's how it worked. That's how it worked.
Okay.
Circumstantial, but devastating.
Okay. Is it more circumstantial or more devastating? I think it's more circumstantial than devastating, honestly, especially considering that this isn't tied to his role as vice president. Oh, man. But it could be true. It's a bit theoretical. That could be how the business scheme played out. That could be how they set each other up with business partners. But this doesn't really show that. It's very theoretical. So if that's all Newsmax has in regards to that prophecy by Greg Kelly, the previous prophecy of this incontrovertible, I should say, evidence, it's just not all that much to sneeze at. I guess I can skip the rest of this. It's mostly just quoting what you heard in the video. Here's some that I can read. So then Joe goes right back to schmoozing and watch the men step away to conduct business separately. Kelly notes, "You see it right there. That's how it worked. That's how it worked. Circumstantial but devastating." I wouldn't go that far. I mean, there's a reason why we haven't heard anything else about it, aside from the fact that mainstream media doesn't really care. It should be noted that this exchange took place when Joe Biden was a senator, suggesting that the Biden corruption racket has been going on for a long, long time. Oh, so see where someone on the left, a Democrat, would take the fact that was from 2005, before Joe Biden was vice president, and say, well, that's just proof that he wasn't acting criminally as vice president. Someone on the right, a Republican, might say, well, that's just proof, or at least evidence, that he was acting criminally even further back in time, back when he was a senator. I mean, he was collecting classified documents at the time. So who knows what all he was up to. And I'm not denying the likelihood, in my opinion, that he was acting criminally, or at least corruptly back then. If there's a difference between those two words at this point. Legally speaking, I know there is. But I'm just saying, this doesn't actually prove all that much, if anything. It should be noted that this exchange took place, yada 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 yada, bing bang boom, blah 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 blah. In fact, this is what Hunter Biden himself had to say to his daughter about his relationship to his father. "I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family 30 years. It's really hard, but don't worry, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary," Hunter wrote. And I believe that was sent during a time when Joe Biden was not vice president. So also worth noting. But the 30 years reference, that covers a lot of time spent in politics, so it could be that there is an acknowledgement of criminality in there. I'm just not so sure. I don't know. And that's why the impeachment inquiry hearing just didn't go all that well for the Republicans. Because they were pretty much in a position where they had to have that smoking gun. Otherwise, they're just looked at as though it's all smoke and mirrors. Which is why I say it's all one big clown show. Okay, so while some may believe this was a one-off remark, there have arisen new emails that corroborate his seemingly damning statement. In 2018 WhatsApp message with his uncle, Hunter fumed about how now First Lady Jill Biden, and called her a bleeping effing moron, after she shot down a proposal about him teaching and said he needed to get sober first. I mean, if you're going to be a teacher, then yeah, you probably should be sober first. So I don't know that that would make her a bleeping moron, technically. But yeah, he said, or he would not be able to support his family. But that's what she said. She said that he needed to get sober first, or he would not be able to support his family. All these quotes are running together here. He says, in a quote here, I supported my GM family, including some of the costs you should have used your salary to lay for the last 24 years. Okay, that's a little bit confusing to read. But the point is, he's saying that he was paying other people. With what money exactly? Oh yeah, money he was receiving from foreign countries, foreign business partners to be exact. In a 2018 text message, Hunter claimed he paid his father's bills for more than a decade, which received backlash from House Republicans. Yeah, that's pretty notable. Too many cooks in the kitchen. He said, too many cooks in the kitchen. I think that would be more accurately stated as crooks. That's a quote from him from 2018, April 12, 2018. Too many profile changes and such. Happened 10 days ago too. What do you need? I'm going to the bank in a few. Need to verify identity in person. I need to pay AT&T. Hunter's assistant, Kate Dodge, responded. Hunter then told Dodge to put the payment on his debt card or debit card. Debt card. And also his Wells Fargo credit line. My dad has been using most lines on this account, which I've, through the gracious offerings of Eric Schwerwin, have paid for past 11 years, Hunter wrote. Wow. That's more revealing than anything in that clip which I played for you, courtesy of Newsmax. It's clear from the sum of the bank statements, tax documents, witness statements, whistleblower testimony, texts, and emails that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden clearly had a financial relationship that is not easily explained away with denials that there is not a shred of evidence that Joe Biden is corrupt. A shred of evidence. So yeah, that's that over-compensation, over-exaggeration, when there is so much to see. If not absolute proof, it's still a lot to see, a lot of evidence. Even if circumstantial, it's still there. And then the response by the Democrats, by the Biden family, is there's absolutely nothing to see here. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing has ever been done wrong. No one has ever lied. We've never misled anyone. No one ever talked about business dealings. Nothing, zilch, nada. I have a hard time believing people who go to those lengths to pretend that everything is on the up and up. All right, so something from Oversight Committee, and this is old news for the most part. I'm just trying to catch up on it so I can keep up and clear some tabs and some topics in the meantime. Newly released emails and documents show that Delaware Assistant U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf did not allow agents to investigate Joe Biden as part of the FARA probe. There are some screenshots here. There should be nothing about political figure 1 in here. This was sent by Leslie Wolf to Joshua J. Wilson and Carly Hudson. A bunch of other people are CC'd in here. But, yeah, I don't want to get caught up on this particular thread too much. It is important to note that political figure 1 is listed as being the former Vice President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. In other words, Vice President Biden. Yeah. So, in investigations related to Hunter Biden, certain someones were told to leave Joe Biden off the table. Don't look into that guy. Don't do it. We'll slap you on that wrist and tell you, oh, what exactly? There should be nothing about political figure 1 in here. Nothing about the big guy, in other words. So this is where the obstruction claims come in from the Republicans against Merrick Garland, for example, who claims that David Weiss had sole authority to investigate and prosecute Hunter Biden, which seems to be a bit contradicted. Especially considering how he was later made special counsel only after his sweetheart plea deal fell apart. More suspicious activity. Well, I guess I could talk about suspicious activity reports from banks, too, connected to Biden's. Yeah. But there's this lengthy article here. Exclusive, revealed. Delaware prosecutor accused of obstructing FBI probe into president's ties to Hunter Biden's shady business dealings is friend of Joe's White House counsel, who emailed "Love you, brother" to first son. And this is about Leslie Wolf, if you're wondering who she is. She, of course, is the one who sent this email in which she said that Joe Biden should not be spoken about, which I'm guessing is just a way to protect him. But here are the basic details, basic information about Leslie Wolf in this article from Daily Mail. Delaware Assistant U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf is accused of obstructing the FBI from investigating Joe Biden during the probe into his son Hunter's tax crimes, most of which ran out the statute of limitations on. I mean, that's one thing that David Weiss did that is just unforgivable, in my humble opinion. He let all of the worst crimes surpass the statute of limitations before he even tried to go for a plea deal. And there was reporting that came out, I think maybe through the New York Times, that suggested that David Weiss had previously, before the IRS whistleblowers came forward and testified, he had previously considered dropping any charges altogether, all charges altogether against Hunter Biden. So I imagine that's true. But then the IRS whistleblowers, they came forward and testified against Hunter Biden and the Justice Department. And the Justice Department was like, oh, we better at least slap a sweetheart deal on this. But then the judge was like, hold on. You're trying to sneak some immunity, some blanket immunity in here. And that doesn't fly. And then, suddenly, after all these years and years and years of investigating, David Weiss is like, hey, Merrick Garland, can you make me special counsel, I should say. And Merrick Garland's like, yes, absolutely, because you're doing such a good job. You're handling this so well. Meanwhile, other people are dealing their cards, trying to rig the game. By other people, I mean Leslie Wolf in this case. So, I'm trying to decide how much time I want to spend on this article. This here is Leslie Wolf. DailyMail.com can reveal Delaware Assistant U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf worked closely with Alexander Mackler, who served as then VP Joe Biden's White House Deputy Counsel from 2014 to 2016. So she had all kinds of connections to the Bidens. Now, sometimes that could mean that she wants to turn on them. Sometimes people turn on people they've been close to. But other times, they want to protect them. Yeah, and it explains the relationships between what's her name? Leslie Wolf and other individuals who are tied to the Bidens. But this is a lot to read into, a lot to read through. So I'm not going to read into it or through it at this point any further than I already have. Can only spend so much time on this. I'm sure I'll talk about it in the future some more. I actually have a bunch more tabs pulled up in a second browser, but I'm just sticking with this one browser for now. A lot of this information was brought up during the impeachment inquiry hearing, but it only convinced people who already believed that Joe Biden was, at least to a certain degree, guilty of something. Of what exactly? I'm not really sure. Are the allegations made in the FD 1023? Is it FD 1023 or 24? The FBI informant file. Are those allegations about a bribery accurate? I don't know. They're pretty significant, though. $5 million bribes to the Bidens. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. That hasn't been proven, though. But, yeah. Here's an article from Just the News. FBI received evidence from second informant in Biden case, but shut him down, ex-agent testifies. It shocked me a bit because the purpose of a confidential informant is to support a case, ex-agent Tim DeBalt told Congress. He's not the first law enforcement official to meet roadblocks created to protect Hunter Biden. More potential obstruction coming into play here. And this article is from September 17. A retired FBI supervisor has revealed to Congress that the Bureau's Washington field office had a second politically connected informant providing information relevant to the Biden family investigation, but was asked to shut down the source in the fall of 2020, shortly before Joe Biden was elected president. Just the News has learned. Timing is everything. And this would have been around the time when the Hunter Biden laptop story was censored. It's suppressed on social media platforms. Retired Special Agent Timothy Thibault, the former number 2 supervisor and the FBI's Washington field office, told the House Judiciary Committee last week in a transcribed interview he was somewhat taken aback when he received the request from the lead agent in Hunter Biden's tax case in October 2020 to shut down the confidential human source. More examples of slaps on the wrist and people saying, "Whoa there, don't go there." Just like Natalie, or what's her name? Leslie Wolf, not Natalie. Leslie Wolf was like, no mention. I gotta quote it verbatim. There should be nothing about political figure 1 in here. Yeah, it seems like everyone, except for whistleblowers and informants, wanted to protect the Bidens. It shocked me a bit because I'm like, the purpose of a confidential informant is to support a case. Thibault told investigators in portions of a transcript reviewed by Just the News. Thibault did not further identify the source in his testimony, but best-selling author Peter Schweitzer told Just the News Sunday that he believes he is the person described in the transcript based on past comments from Thibault, and after the New York Times recently suggested the FBI had received information in the Hunter Biden case from a right-wing author. Schweitzer said the FBI approached him and he provided the agents evidence about possible criminality in the fall of 2020. He said there was no politics involved, just facts, and he pushed back on the narrative of the Times, noting its journalists reported on the Hillary Clinton-funded Steele dossier submitted to the FBI in 2016. That was a fun one. There are no right-wing facts or left-wing facts. There are only facts, he said. And of course, they happily accepted the unsubstantiated and unsourced dossier from Hillary Clinton's lawyers without reservation. So when the news networks, when the publishers are accepting information from one side, regardless of how non-credible it is, and then saying, hey, get lost, when someone from the other side comes along with some even more credible information, that's clearly a sign of bias, putting it lightly. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan summoned Thibault from the interview as he investigates allegations that U.S. Attorney David Weiss and his team did not follow normal investigative procedures when probing Hunter Biden and his family overseas business dealings. Thibault retired after revelations he had made anti-Trump posts on social media while an agent, and has been a target of sharp criticism from some Republicans, including Senator Charles Grassley. But his testimony last week could open an entire new avenue of inquiry for congressional investigators trying to determine if the FBI or Justice Department thwarted certain avenues of inquiry into the Biden family as Joe Biden was preparing to become president. So this Thibault fellow isn't exactly a fan of Donald Trump. Interesting. Thibault's 25-year service record shows his professional work to be nonpartisan and has reeled in big names while investigating public corruption, sending 2 Democratic congressmen to prison while overseeing sensitive inquiries into the Clinton Foundation, and the former governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, another Democrat, according to the New York Times. 2 IRS whistleblowers have already delivered blockbuster testimony to the House investigators earlier this summer that they and FBI agents were blocked from asking questions about Joe Biden and from acquiring a search warrant for Hunter Biden's storage locker on Joe Biden's guest house, where evidence was suspected to be located. Heard about that too. More obstruction. So much obstruction being obstructed. Or instructed. By who exactly? Merrick Garland, maybe? Oh, wait. Some of this happened. Some of this corruption happened during Donald Trump's administration. Under Bill Barr or whoever. But that doesn't really dismiss anything. Democrats, they like to say, well, David Weiss was nominated. He was appointed by Donald Trump. So therefore, nothing to see here. I mean, since when did Democrats trust anyone who was appointed by Donald Trump? I thought everyone appointed or nominated by Donald Trump was, an accomplice to murder, essentially. And then when any one of them happens to go after Donald Trump in any sort of way, or protect Joe Biden or Hunter Biden in any sort of way, Democrats are like, oh, we completely trust them. Completely trustworthy. All right, so, yes. The IRS agents said they were thwarted from questioning Hunter Biden when the Biden transition team was tipped off to their plan to interview the first son. In addition, Grassley said, has disclosed an FD 1023, there we go, I had it right the first time, FD 1023 informant report showing that the FBI was alerted to bribery allegations by a confidential human source, though anonymous. Anonymous sources are the worst, but sometimes legitimate. That source alleged that Joe and Hunter Biden may have received $10 million in payments for helping to deal with Ukrainian prosecutor probing the Burisma Holdings gas firm that paid Hunter Biden millions. That a prosecutor was Victor Shokin, of course, but I probably won't speak on him all that much. I need to speed things up a bit anyways. The Bidens and their allies flatly deny the allegations, but the FBI has told Congress some of those allegations remain under investigation, a claim GOP investigators find dubious 3 years later. In an interview on Fox News' Hannity TV show, the chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, James Comer, said, "The evidence continues to mount, and today we saw Joe Biden has lied to the American people. He knew exactly who his son was getting those millions and millions of dollars of wires from. He spoke to them, and he spoke to them often." Thibault's testimony raises the prospect that a second informant also brought information to the FBI before the 2020 presidential election and was also walled off. And also it is true that the FBI had the FD-1023 at the time when the Hunter Biden laptop story was being censored. Hunter Biden was being investigated at that time, and we were still led to believe by all of these intelligence officials that it was all just disinformation. Even though, for the most part, all that information about Hunter Biden was accurate, especially the Hunter Biden laptop story. Thibault said he arrived in later summer 2020 as a new supervisor in the Washington office, and the following month learned about an FD-1023 report containing informant information relevant to the ongoing Hunter Biden probe into taxes and alleged foreign lobbying. There were some issues with Hunter Biden failing to register, I believe, in regards to his lobbying, and some of that he seems to be getting off the hook on also. And I'm not so sure that's all because of expiration of statute of limitations. It's just due to sweetheart deals and slaps on the wrist, so on and so forth. Sometime in September, and this is a recollection, the FBI did not allow me to go back and review a source file, okay? I have a recollection of a 1023, which is a source report, raw source report, and of reviewing it and or approving it, he told investigators for House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, cautioning he was trying to be as careful and accurate as possible. The reason why I say I approved it, sometimes it involved a sensitive source, I believe. Somehow I saw that source report, he said, and I believe I approved it. At the very least, I reviewed it, I believe. To me, when I first saw it, it didn't stick out. The next month, Thibault said he got an unexpected call from an agent he had known who was helping to supervise the Hunter Biden criminal tax case being run in Delaware by U.S. Attorney David Weiss. Fast forward to sometime in October, I received an unsolicited call from the supervisor of the Hunter Biden case. I knew him because he had been assigned to Washington field office as the case agent. He said my squad was right down the hallway from him. And he was also a medic on SWAT team. And so I got to know him really well. He's a smart guy. So when he calls me, I'm going to listen to him, right? He continued. He calls me and says, "Hey, I have concerns about a CHS that has been opened by the Washington field office and sent us a 1023. Thibault said he became defensive, trying to protect his agents. The Washington FBI field office has 830 special agents who reported to Thibault. I said, okay, what are your concerns? And he basically said, look, the information isn't of any value to us, number one. I deduced from everything he said that they already had from some other source, some other channel, maybe not a human source, but some other channel. A little bit confusing to read and process all at once. He also said that that person was politically connected and partisan in his view, and he was concerned about the source being on media platforms. At the time, I was fairly new, Thibault testified. He then described why he found the overture uncomfortable. So I was getting a call from the supervisor, and my takeaway was, we don't need your source reporting, and also, why are you sending a file to our case file that we didn't know about, right? So Washington field office wrote this 1023, and it went to headquarters, and it went to Baltimore. And so when I get this call, I'm a little defensive, he said. Thibault was not more specific in describing the information or the informant, their role, their allegations, or their political preferences. But he told congressional investigators there is a careful assessment before informant allegations are forwarded to other FBI offices. There's always a value-risk assessment here. It's like a value proposition. So Washington field office is this example and this is this originator. So Washington field office in this example is the originator. Baltimore field office is the consumer, he said. Sorry, I didn't realize how long this article was going to be. Let me see how much further. Hunter Biden's lawyer, the White House spokesman for Jordan and Grassley, and the lawyer for Thibault did not immediately return a call seeking comment. Thibault, sources said, also addressed the prior criticism of his partisan social media posts, telling Jordan's committee it was a mistake and bad judgment. But he added that his views in the social media posts did not impact his work. When Grassley first leveled criticism at Thibault, the senator said he was concerned by information from a whistleblower that Thibault, as the assistant special agent in charge, may have closed down part of an investigation into the Biden probe in October 2020, the exact time frame Thibault described for the source shutdown. An avenue of derogatory Hunter Biden reporting was ordered closed, Grassley said. Thibault's account raises the possibility that the episode Grassley cited was actually driven by the Delaware prosecution team and simply carried out by Thibault. Weiss's conduct, including a sweetheart plea deal for Hunter Biden that was rejected by a federal judge, is under investigation by Congress. And now there have been further charges against Hunter Biden, which are also possibly a slap on the wrist. Sweetheart. But, yeah. The decision to allow the statute of limitations to expire on more serious charges remains a major focus of inquiries led by Jordan Comer and House Ways and Means Committee Rep. Jason Smith. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy approved an impeachment inquiry against President Biden last week that includes a focus on whether there were cover-up schemes in the Biden probe. Grassley also raised concerns that an FBI intelligence assessment was used by an FBI headquarters team to improperly discredit negative Hunter Biden information as disinformation, when it was not. Based on allegations, verified and verifiable derogatory information on Hunter Biden was falsely labeled as disinformation, Grassley said. Comer said that he plans on holding a hearing in September to summarize his impeachment inquiry committee's findings, and that he wants to interview people who have knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings. We are following the money and we'll see where that leads, he told reporters asking about next steps in the possible impeachment process. And since then, well, those knowledgeable people have been called in, Jonathan Turley and co., and they were not fact witnesses or anything like that, though they are legal experts of sorts. And after that hearing, James Comer sent subpoenas in regards to additional banking information, so we'll see what comes out of that. See if anything else is exposed. Alright, so also this news broke not too long before the first impeachment inquiry hearing. Breaking from Representative James Comer. I just subpoenaed and obtained 2 bank wires revealing Hunter Biden received payments originating from Beijing in 2019 when Joe Biden was running for president. Joe Biden's Delaware home is listed as the beneficiary address for both money wires from China. Yikes. So yeah, there's a screenshot here. You can also find this on his congressional page. It's a press release. But here's the information. House Committee on Oversight and Accountability Chairman James Comer today announced the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed and obtained 2 bank wires revealing Hunter Biden received payments originating from Chinese nationals, including Jonathan Lee, in July and August of 2019 when Joe Biden was running for president of the United States. Joe Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home is listed as the beneficiary address for both wires. And at that time, Hunter Biden was not living in that house, though he has on and off over the course of time. So why was his money being sent from China to his father's home? Was it being sent to Hunter Biden, or was it being sent to Joe Biden? That would be interesting to know, right? That would be notable. Bank records don't lie, but President Joe Biden does. In 2020, Joe Biden told Americans that his family never received money from China. He claimed that on the debate stage. We've already proved that to be a lie earlier this year. Emanating from listed as Joe Biden's Wilmington home as the beneficiary address when he was running for president of the United States. When Joe Biden was vice president, he spoke on the phone and had coffee with Jonathan Lee in Beijing and later wrote a college letter of recommendation for his children, said Chairman Comer. So money was sent to Joe Biden's Delaware address from someone in China whom Joe Biden had conversations, phone calls, coffee with. Sorry, my computer's starting to go crazy. And also, Joe Biden wrote a letter of recommendation, a college letter of recommendation for Jonathan Lee's children. Don't forget about the WhatsApp message from Hunter Biden in which he told a separate Chinese businessman that he was sitting with his father. I'm sitting here with my father. You know, he used his father's name to threaten Chinese businessmen, to bribe them, in a sense. And I believe Hunter Biden was at that Delaware home at that time, or at least had been seen there, including riding around in Joe Biden's Corvette, his prized possession. So a lot of shady business has gone down at that home, Joe Biden's home in Delaware. I'm starting to lag here. I'm starting to freeze up a bit. My software, that is. My apologies if you're catching any of it. Did I read the rest of that press release? Can't remember if I read all the way through it. Lost my train of thought here. Oh, man. Not responding. Joe Biden's abuse of public office for his family's financial gain threatens our national security. What did the Bidens do with this money from Beijing? Americans demand and deserve accountability for President Biden and the First Family's corruption. The Oversight Committee, along with the Judiciary and Ways and Means Committees, will continue to follow the evidence and money to provide transparency and accountability, if they can help it. Too many clowns dancing around in the clown show, though. Can't get to the bottom of anything. And yes, here's an article from Fox News all about that press release from James Comer. Hunter Biden received $250,000 wires originating in Beijing with beneficiary address listed as Joe Biden's home. Money came from Hunter's China-backed business partners. They got two different wires totaling $250K. See what we got here. Were the amounts listed in this press release? No, they were not. So, I'll read that information for you here. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Hunter Biden received wires that originated in Beijing for more than $250,000 from Chinese business partners during the summer of 2019. Wires that listed the Delaware home of Joe Biden as the beneficiary address for the funds, Fox News Digital has learned from a congressional committee. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has been investigating the Biden family business dealings and President Biden's alleged involvement in those ventures. As part of the investigation, Comer subpoenaed financial records related to a specific bank account and received records of two wires originating from Beijing and linked to BHR Partners, a Chinese institution which Hunter Biden is one of the forefathers of. BHR Partners is a joint venture between Hunter Biden's Rosemont Seneca and Chinese investment firm Bohai Capital. BHR Partners is a Beijing-backed private equity firm controlled by Bank of China Limited. Hunter Biden reportedly sat on the board of directors of BHR Partners. So if he's setting up businesses in China, of course he's making money off of China, but that didn't stop Joe Biden from claiming that the Bidens had made no money from China while on the debate stage in 2020. But that's what funny money does for you. I might use this as a thumbnail. Let's see here. My software is continuing to freeze up on me, or at least buffer badly. I have to wrap this up soon. I'm almost an hour into it anyways. The first wire transfer was sent to Hunter Biden, dated July 26, 2019, was for $10,000 from an individual named Miss Wang Xin. There is a Miss Wang Xin listed on the website for BHR Partners. It is unclear if the wire came from that Wang Xin. I imagine there are more than one in China. The second wire transfer sent to Hunter Biden, dated August 2 of 2019, was for $250,000 from Li Zhengxian, also known as the aforementioned Jonathan Li, the CEO of BHR Partners. So money flowing from Hunter Biden's business venture in China directly to the doorstep of his father, Joe Biden. The committee is trying to identify Ling's role. Nothing new was really discovered in the impeachment inquiry hearing, but that's because none of the witnesses were fact witnesses. They could only speak somewhat hypothetically on the matter. The beneficiary for the wires is listed as Robert Hunter Biden with the address of 1209 Barley Mill Road in Wilmington, Delaware. That address is the main residence for President Biden, who was not president at that time, but same Biden. Comer and the House Oversight Committee have obtained bank records as part of their investigation, alleging that the Biden family and their business associates received millions of dollars from oligarchs in Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and Kazakhstan during the Obama administration. Sad but true. Fox News Digital has also learned that the committee has records that allegedly reveal that from 2014 to 2019, the Biden family and their associates received $24 million in foreign payments, $50 million to the Bidens and $9 million for their business associates. $4 million more previously than previously known. Committee aides told Fox News Digital that beneficiary addresses are either the address listed to the recipient account or listed by the individual sending the wire. It is unclear based on the wire records who listed the address. I could also use this as a thumbnail. Pause for the picture. Hunter Biden spent time in 2017, 2018, and 2019 living at the Biden family home in Wilmington, Delaware. It is unclear if he was living at the home at the time of the wire transfers in July and August 2019. I believe I read elsewhere that he wasn't living there at the time. But who knows, really? He's a bit of a gypsy. The wires were sent just several months after then Vice President Joe Biden announced his 2020 presidential campaign. Joe Biden in August 2019 said he never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period. Sure. As for Jonathan Lee, according to testimony for Hunter Biden's former business associate Devin Archer, as part of the House Oversight Committee's investigation, Joe Biden sat down for coffee in Beijing with the CEO of BHR. Archer also testified that Biden wrote a college recommendation letter for Lee's daughter to Georgetown. Archer said Hunter Biden put his father on speakerphone for at least one call with Lee in addition to meeting for coffee. But they never spoke about business dealings, just the weather. Whatever. Separately, Fox News Digital first reported in 2022 that Biden wrote a college recommendation letter for Lee's son to Brown University. So not just once, but twice. Third time is the charm. Yeah. Say freeze. Bank records don't lie, but President Joe Biden does, Comer told Fox News Digital. How much is left to this article? Have I made all my points yet? In 2020, Joe Biden told Americans that his family never received money from China. That has already been proven to be a lie. Joe Biden's abuse of public office for his family's financial gain threatens our national security, so on and so forth. Despite Hunter Biden receiving more than $250,000 in the summer of 2019 from BHR-linked individuals, in October 2019, then attorney for Hunter Biden, George Mezières, explained Hunter's role at the company by saying he served only as a member of the board of directors, which he joined based on his interest in seeking ways to bring Chinese capital to international markets, using the Biden brand, of course, as a way of leverage. That's what I'm adding. It was an unpaid position, Mezières said on October 13, 2019. In October 2017, Hunter committed to invest approximately $420,000 US to acquire a 10% equity position in BHR. 10% for the big guy rings a bell there, which he still holds. To date, Hunter has not received any compensation for being on BHR's board of directors. He has not received any return on his investment. There have been no distributions to BHR shareholders since Hunter obtained his equity interest. But I mean, in a roundabout way, you're getting plenty of compensation from foreign countries, aren't you? That's what all the shell companies and bank accounts are for. Hunter received from the board of BHR at the end of October 2019. I said the wrong word there. Hunter resigned from the board. The White House attorneys for Hunter Biden and Mezières did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital's request for comment. The White House remains maintaining that the president was never in business with his son. Oh, okay. So is it never in business, or never has even spoken about his business? Subtle difference there. The subpoenaed financial records come amid House Republicans' impeachment inquiry investigation against President Biden. And news about those $250,000 was broken and spoken to just days before the first hearing in the impeachment inquiry. Comer reveals wires from China have Joe Biden's Wilmington home as the beneficiary address. And this just speaks to the article I just read. This is the press release from James Comer, from Oversight Committee on oversight.house.gov. So I don't need to reiterate any of that. On October 22, 2020, Joe Biden falsely said, "My son has not made money in terms of the thing about, what are you talking about, China? The only guy who made money in China is President Trump." That is a lie, though. And I have this video, this compilation of clips here from my Articulate Thinker News Clips channel. Joe Biden's lie about family, Hunter receiving payments from China, exposed. But because of all of the buffering and freezing, and the fact that you may not even be able to see what I'm talking about right now, I'm not sure. I won't know until the playback afterwards. I'm going to skip the playback of this video which I put together, and I had a follow-up to that, also on my Articulate Thinker News Clips channel. Joe Biden's lie about the money son Hunter received from foreign countries. Yeah. So I will skip that as well, because I imagine my system might crash if I try to play it at this point. It's getting worse and worse. Let me end on this note. interesting thread from Jeff Carlson speaking to timelines, and Viktor Shokin's firing forced resignation over in Ukraine. But that's relevant enough information, worthy of a discussion of its own. So I might just skip that as well. I'm not even going to speak to that. Probably speak about Viktor Shokin at some point in the future. I think I've covered enough for now. An hour into this show, and I gotta go. So, just letting you know. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you enjoyed. Regardless, like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Keep in touch, keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.